Hey, Brittany Lynch here. I wanted to film a quick video about the process that I go through when I want to launch a new t-shirt campaign. But really the process that I'm going to share with you, you can use it for launching a new t-shirt campaign, phone case, a physical product, or even information product for that matter. It really comes down to getting an idea for a niche, selecting a niche, finding great targets or great interests to use in your Facebook ad campaign. And then if we're speaking about t-shirts, getting an idea for the design and launching it. So I'm going to be focusing primarily on selecting the niche, finding laser targeted interest to run your Facebook ad campaign, and then finding a design for t-shirts, all right, for launching a t-shirt campaign. So first things first is I'd go to Facebook, and this is just one method to find a niche, and it's a nice method because it's really fast, and I find that often, especially when it comes to t-shirt marketing or t-shirt campaigns, people spend way too much time trying to decide on a niche, all right? And I do think that you should really go after what's called an evergreen niche. I learned that term from my friends Matt Schmidt and Damien. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But an evergreen niche is a niche where you're able to launch multiple t-shirt campaigns at once. So this is actually a method that I learned from Matt Schmidt. And so you basically go to Facebook and you type in interest in the search bar, all right? So you literally type in interest in the search bar, and then I selected pages. And what we're looking at are a number of different niches or audiences that exist in different niches on Facebook. And you can see here's knitting. That one looks really interesting. Years ago, I actually launched a niche campaign on knitting. It wasn't t-shirt marketing, it was actually information marketing. So that's something that I might want to explore. Let's just see. I'm just going through some of these. Sims, jewelry, so that might be something. It's a bit small. Let's see here. Photography, so that could be a really good niche. So I'm basically just scanning through and looking for niches that maybe jump out at me, all right? And you can see the nice thing is, look at photography. You can see that there's 23 million people who actually like photography, and then there's kind of other things that they recommend you might want to look at. You can kind of browse through here to get ideas of different interests that maybe would be something worth pursuing from a t-shirt perspective or even an information marketing perspective, and ideally both. Gardening, I think that would be a great niche both from an information marketing standpoint and from a t-shirt standpoint, all right? So basically the concept's very easy. You type interest into your search bar and start browsing through there and just choose one, especially when it comes to t-shirt marketing where it's really about numbers. You have to launch a lot of campaigns kind of every single day if you want to be reaching 6 figures a month or even 5 figures a month, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the knitting niche for now, and then what I want to do is I want to go on over to Audience Insights. And again, this is just one method that I use for finding laser targeted audiences that I can market to using Facebook advertising, all right? There's many others. There's a lot of different softwares out there that you can use to find, great interests. You can manually go to Google and search for things too. But this is, again, a strategy that I learned from Matt Schmidt, who I met at a mastermind a few months ago. Really excellent t-shirt marketer. He's made multiple 6 figures marketing t-shirts online with his partner, Damien Casaseras. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select interests, all right? And I'm going to just start by entering in knitting, okay? So knitting. And then what I want to select is page likes, so it's already on page likes. And I'm going to scroll down and we're going to look at the page likes area here. So we're looking at a few things, affinity and relevance, okay? So number one is Lion Barn yarn, all right? So Audience Insights is telling us that people who like the interest knitting are also likely to, or 9.5 times more likely to like Lion Brand yarn, all right? So what Matt recommends you do is you now delete the interest knitting and you add in Lion Brand yarn because it's a little more targeted than just knitting. With knitting, you have, let's see how many people, 5 to 6 million monthly active people in the United States who have indicated they like knitting. So that's very large, and we want to narrow it down to just really passionate knitters. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter in Lion Brand yarn. There it is. and then I'm going to remove knitting. And basically, it's just kind of a process of looking at the affinity again. So you can see people who like Lion Brand yarn, that's the interest that's entered in right now, are 50 times more likely to like Red Heart yarns. All right, well, that's interesting. And you can see that the Facebook audience is 163,000. So not massive, but a good chunk. 87,000. And so what I would do is I would just enter in Red Heart yarns. Knit Picks looks really good too, 51.1 affinity. Knitting Fever and Euro Yarns, again, really high affinity. Let's see, Starting Chain, All Free Crochet. So these are all people and small audiences that are likely to be interested in knitting and very, very, very targeted. So I really like this method, and the great thing is you can actually find them on your Facebook ad targeting. And as some of you might know, often when you use the Google method to go and find targeted interest, you'll come up with a lot of different websites, but when you enter it into the interest toolbar on the Facebook ad page, they don't always pull up. So these do, which is really, really nice. So now I've got Lion Brand Yarn, Red Heart Yarns, All Free Crochet, so people who like these two interests have a 48.4 times affinity. So that looks really, really good. So I might add All Free Crochet. There we go. And basically, I just continue to go through this process. So whether you choose knitting or gardening or any of those other niches that kind of came up on that first page of going to Facebook and searching interests that I walked through first, using Audience Insight is a really, really great way to find very, very targeted interests that you can use for your Facebook ad campaigns, all right? So hopefully you kind of get the idea there. Again, my friend Matt Schmidt kind of taught me this process in detail at the mastermind that I was at about a month and a half ago. All right. So now we've kind of selected a niche. We've identified some interests. All right. So about 500, 600,000 people who are very, very likely to be interested in whether it's a knitting ebook or a knitting t-shirt. We've got a very targeted audience. No surprise that 98% of them are women, and you can kind of look at the demographic here. All right, so let's assume that this is a t-shirt campaign, all right? We've selected a niche. We've identified an initial audience, targeted audience in the knitting niche. And what I want to do now is I want to go on over to Pinterest. Okay, so we want to kind of come up with an idea for a t-shirt. And again, there's many different ways to do this, just as there's many ways to choose a niche, many ways to find niche targeting ideas. There's many ways to come up with design ideas. This is kind of just the fastest one that I really, really like. So I'm going to go ahead and search, let's see, knitting quotes. And we're going to look for quotes in the knitting niche that have been repinned or liked several times, all right? So Pinterest is a social platform, and basically what we can assume is that if a lot of people like a particular quote, that could work for a t-shirt. You're basically looking for a built-in audience. So let's see here. I have enough yarn. Hey, look, yarn. So this is kind of like a funny t-shirt. But I think it's probably a little too complicated. But it had 870 repins, you can see that right here, and 156 likes. So, you know, a lot of people who maybe like knitting have expressed interest in that quote. Let's see here. So 1,500. I said to myself, I need to do something besides knit today. Then I laughed and I laughed. See, I could kind of see this working well on a t-shirt. You could have a cool little design with the knitting ball and the needles, and it's kind of a funny little, I don't know if you would call this a quote necessarily, but a funny little saying for knitters. So again, this one has 1,565 repins. So a lot of action there. And you're basically looking for posts that have a lot of repins. So let's see here. So this one, it's not a hobby. It's a post-apocalyptic life skill. It's 131 repins. So what would you be more likely to choose, this one or the one that has 1,565 repins? This one obviously has had more of a response from a knitting audience. So that to me indicates that this could do really, really well from a t-shirt perspective and selling that to the audience we selected. All right. So again, pretty high level concept. You just want to get to it, choose a niche. I think too many people spend too much time selecting a niche, and it is good to invest some time up front to choose the right niche. However, there is such thing of spending too much time thinking too hard about it, and then you kind of get paralysis and you don't move forward. So whether it's for information marketing or for physical products or for t-shirts, choose a niche. I showed you one method today to come up with a niche. It's a method that I particularly like for t-shirts because you have to come up with so many different concepts. It's not like you're married to that particular niche. However, there is such a thing as evergreen niches for t-shirt marketing. I'll be holding a webinar this Thursday with Matt and Damien on that topic. They've both sold several hundred thousands of dollars of t-shirts online, so they really know what they're talking about when it comes to that. So if you liked today's training, today's overview, the webinar on Thursday is going to go into a lot more detail. In fact, they're going to actually be pulling back the curtains on one of their campaigns that's made over $23,000 in just 7 days. And it's one single campaign. I don't want to give away the niche yet, but they're actually going to be giving away the niche and talking about how they found the targeting. They're going to be talking about how they came up with the design, giving lots of really cool tips on how to come up with the design, how to manage the volume of campaigns you need to launch in order to be earning 6 figures online with t-shirt marketing. So if that has any interest to you, be sure to sign up with a link that's included in the email and below this video. And again, remember that, well, the strategies that I'm talking about right now, I'm talking specifically about t-shirt marketing. And again, on the webinar, it's specifically about t-shirt marketing. However, the application is quite broad. So you can use the strategy I talked about today in order to get ideas for information marketing, get ideas for physical products. You can use the method I talked about today, the targeting method, for literally anything. Using audience insights is a really, really great way to come up with very, very, very targeted interests to use for your Facebook ad campaign, whether that's t-shirts, information products, physical products, offline marketing, maybe you've got a local business, whatever it is. We're going to go into more depth in that on Thursday. And again, just using Pinterest. I love Pinterest for coming up with ideas for t-shirts. It's a great way for searching knitting quotes. But there's also other search queries you can use to come up with ideas for blog posts, ideas for emails, ideas, again, for physical products. And one of the keys that you're really looking for is you want to find the post with the most number of repins, which is that information down here, because that indicates that, someone other than you thought that was great, indicates that there's an audience there of other people who actually, expressed interest in that particular post, whether that's a quote or a product, or again, maybe it's an instruction piece on something for soap making. For example, for my soap making niche, I come here all the time and I search for different recipes and projects that have a high number of repins, and I use that as inspiration to kind of come up with content for my emails. And for those of you who are information marketers, you know that we're constantly having to come up with new ideas and new concepts and new content for ebooks, for information products. So using a social platform like Pinterest is really, really helpful for coming up with the volume of information, the volume of content that you need to express to your audience, and do it in a way that, you're sure you're going to hit the mark, you're sure your audience is going to respond, and it makes just the whole process easier for you, right? And for those of you who maybe don't have a product yet, ClickBank's a great place to go ahead and find information products on the topic that you are wanting to promote. So just since we're on the knitting topic, you can see there's a ton of different ebooks on knitting on ClickBank that I could create a little sort of giveaway page, or even like a pre-sale page if I wanted to take the audience I had created off of Audience Insight and send that traffic to an ebook instead of a t-shirt. That's absolutely possible too. All right, so quick little video of kind of the process that I go through, primarily for coming up with ideas, choosing a niche, finding targets for launching a new t-shirt campaign. But again, there's a broad application of this that can be used for information marketing or even other physical products. And again, Thursday, Matt Schmidt and Demi and Casasaris are going to be holding a webinar with myself this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll include a link in the email. So if this has any interest to you, t-shirt marketing or even just Facebook marketing in general, then you're definitely going to want to sign up for that because it's going to be a really, really great webinar. They're fantastic, talking together, training together, and they're always giving really, really great value. All right, so again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon.